One of the things I loved about your new book is that this is really about love, period, in your life. And thinking about love as a skill and how to both let it in and let it out and give and receive. And I also just got something from you that I want to acknowledge. That this is probably an Achilles heel of mine. And in the example that you just shared, I just realized something that I am not doing with my husband, Chris. So you talked about the example of other people saying to your wife, Roddy, you should open a restaurant, you should open a restaurant. And I could see that because I'm like, oh my God, her cooking's so fabulous, she should open a restaurant.
She should open a restaurant.
Right?
Maybe I'm getting her.
Yeah, and then you feel the pressure. I think often in relationships, we either want our partners to change, so we're pressuring them to change because we don't respect their values, we want them to conform to ours, right? And so then the resentment builds. Or you have this fear. And I just realized in listening to you that I have this fear with Chris. So Chris has started a men's retreat that he's been running for 6 years. And as it gets more and more popular, I realized, Jay, that I have been subconsciously trying to steer him away from expanding it because I'm afraid that he's going to get very busy and that's going to impact our family life negatively. That is my fear. I haven't even sat down with him to have the conversation. What's your goal? And instead of being afraid of it or trying to manipulate it, that I actually listen and figure out of love, the skill we're talking about, how to support him in achieving it.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable to that degree, because it takes a lot to be that conscious to notice your subconscious that's happening. And I think it's very natural. I don't think that you doing that makes you a bad person. I don't think that makes you a selfish person. I don't think that makes you a manipulative or controlling person. I think it makes you human and it's natural. But I think as soon as we locate one of those fears or insecurities that we're projecting, we have to do something about it, because we could potentially derail our partners from the life they want to live. And I've found this I've coached and worked with couples who've been together 3 months, 3 years, and 30 years. And I use that as a form of learning. I don't consider myself an expert. When I'm with someone who has more relationship experience, including yourself and Chris, I'm taking notes. I'm learning from that person. And I have so many clients that have had the experience that after 30 years, one partner has lived their dreams and the other partner has either sacrificed theirs in building the other person's,
right,
or forgotten what theirs was in the first place. And that is such a common story that person now in their 50s is reflecting and thinking, I can't get those 30 years back. Now, I actually believe you can start right now and start there. I don't think you have to get those 30 years back. But for those of us who are in an earlier stage in our relationship, I want you to pivot away from that happening. And so our insecurities and fears get projected on our partners. And often what happens is, yours is interesting because your fear is of him not being around.
Right.
Often our fear or insecurity is our partner doesn't work as hard as us, so we want them to work harder. Often our insecurity or fear is my partner doesn't put in as much effort as I do, so I want them to put in more effort. So usually it's the other way around, but I really appreciate your vulnerability in sharing that, because I think a lot of people who are listening and watching, that will really resonate with them.
I want to start sort of at the beginning of the spectrum. So you receive so many people from around the world every day, and so do I, writing in because they can't find love. Because they have a string of relationships that have failed, and they have a story about needing to find love, about I can't find love, and I, as a mom, having had 2 daughters who are now in really great relationships, seeing them chase it, seeing them like attach their value around somebody else, picking them, loving them. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Where do you begin when it comes to building this new skill around how you think about love? Where would you tell somebody? Is it rule number one?
It is rule number one in the book, but I think you've just brought out a beautiful point that I want to respond to. And it's that we all have a story that we're writing about love. And the interesting thing is that our mind makes us fiction writers. And we're writing our own fictional version of what our love story looks like. And it changes every single day. One day we feel like anyone would be lucky to have us, but then there's months that go by when we feel we're completely unlovable and we're not enough. And I think it's really interesting because we both know this, that the story you're saying to yourself, the story you're telling yourself naturally becomes your reality because you're looking for the facts, you're looking for those truths in your life. So if you think to yourself, no one's attracted to me right now, you're now going around looking for how many people are not attracted to you and don't look at you. It's almost like when you make a decision to say, I'm thinking about buying this brand of car, or I'm thinking about buying this brand of whatever it may be. Now you see that brand everywhere, you hear it everywhere.
Right.
It's not that suddenly everyone just started buying that car on the streets or buying that product or brand, but you see it everywhere because it's at the forefront of your consciousness. And so if the story is, I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, and I'm unlovable, which is a very true and real story of the people that are writing in for us, that unfortunately is what you're going to perpetuate. And that's why rule one is about what you do alone. Because if you're waiting for someone to love you, to believe you're lovable, that means you're saying that the day they change their mind, you're now immediately unlovable. And so you're deciding whether you're lovable or not based on whether someone else thinks you're worthy of love. And I think that sets us up for a lot of pain, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. There's this beautiful thought from Paul Tillich, and he talks about how in the English language we have two words for being alone, but we only talk about one of them, and that word is loneliness. I'm lonely. I feel alone. It's been a lonely day. It's been a lonely year. I'm experiencing loneliness. Right. But we never use the other word, and the other word is solitude. It's just not used in our vocabulary. And he says that loneliness is the weakness of being alone, and solitude is the glory, or as I say, the strength of being alone. And what I want people to understand is that when you take the time on your own to do three things. The first thing is you have to learn about yourself. You have to learn what you like, what you don't like, what experiences you're into, what you're not into, because what we don't realize is when you start dating someone, you adopt all of their likes and dislikes only in a few years to feel like you don't know who you are anymore.
Right.
And you lose yourself.
Well, this is going to sound like a dumb question, but I have to ask it.
Yeah.
How the hell do you figure out what you like?
No,
I'm not. I'm serious.
it's a good
like
question.
if you've always been somebody.
Yeah.
So let's role play.
No, let's
You're
do
my
it.
life coach.
Yeah.
Okay. My parents are divorced. I have had terrible relationships through high school and college, Jay. And the last person I was with cheated on me. And every time I go out to the bars with my friends, all my friends get approached by people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I like. How do I find love? Like,
Yes.
how to coach me?
So first mistake, and
Yes.
I wouldn't say this in a coaching session, but to speed it up for us, first mistake, you're already thinking it's about what do you like about the partner. I'm saying what do you like about yourself?
And where do
What
you
do you
start
like in
if
your
you
own
don't
life?
know
So
yourself?
very simple. When you go out for a dinner, as soon as you get back, you know whether you like the food at that restaurant or not, don't you?
Yes.
If you went out for a burrito, you know whether you like it or not. If you went out for Italian, you know whether you like it or not. How about we start doing that with people, places, and projects? How about we start reflecting when we take on a project at work? After we complete it, let's sit there and reflect. Don't reflect while you're doing it, because that can often be misleading. Sometimes a piece of food comes out and it looks awkward or uncomfortable or it's a weird color. Then you try it and it's incredible. So it's only by trying do we know. And so after you finish a project at work, did I like it or not? What did I like about it? What didn't I like about it? Was that my comfort or was that my discomfort? 3 questions, really easy. Did I like it or not? What did I like about it or not like about it? And what I didn't like about it, was that just because it was uncomfortable? Or is it because I actually found it terrible? And if you did that with people, groups you spend time with, so many of us never change our friends over a decade because we never reflected when we left. You'd never go back to a restaurant if you had a bad experience.